Hey everyone, welcome to the latest installment of MSP Business School. As always, I'm your host, Brian Doyle, here with you, and today we're going to do a little bit of a fireside chat together. Things are moving fast in our industry. I think we'd all agree with that, and there's a lot of hype. The AI hype, the changing MSP hype, the managed information provider hype, and I think they're all legitimate. And certainly this is a time of change for our managed service provider community. But I think one of the things that is amiss is really how folks are approaching the technology business review. I know even here at VCIO Toolbox, my business, we are looking at different ways to kind of engage with our customers to kind of align with how the industry is running now and how the winds of change are forcing it. So today, really what I wanted to talk about is kind of this concept of building a quarterly momentum versus just quarterly meetings. How VCIOs and account managers can stay better engaged with their customers, not just have these quarterly events that occur. So, really when you think about it, it's meant to be a checkpoint. Now, it's been built up as kind of a process, and there's certainly a lot of information that's exchanged, but it's really meant to be a checkpoint in the relationship. It's to guarantee that at least every 90 days, you and your customer are getting together and can have a forum where any concerns are being discussed. Now, within those QBR meetings, we certainly have a structured process we look at where we're really trying to understand what's going on with the customer. Beyond just technology, what are the big things driving their business, the key initiatives they're going after, and the obstacles they're facing? We want to get those and organize those thoughts so we can use them as leverage points throughout our discussions in the future. Really, these are the big building blocks for showing outcomes to our customers and really helping guide them more consultatively to where we all need to go together. But again, if you think of the QBR event now more as a checkpoint, it means there's got to be a lot of other activity supporting it. While it's a standalone meeting and it might be where you guys come together with the greater good of the customer as well, or the greater team of the customer as well, it's also meant to be where you're getting information that then you can use to stay engaged with the customer throughout the process. And let's face it, when you do a quarterly business review, a lot of what you share in that meeting is forgotten by the customer by week 3, or you've got to start pushing the issues again. And if we have some regular touch points going on, and if we really start modernizing our approach to our customer engagements and our customer relationships, there will be a lot of change that comes out of it. And the QBR shouldn't be the only strategic conversation that you're having with the customer. Yes, I'm a big believer in setting the scope of strategy in that QBR session. You've got their attention, everybody's at the table, they know they're coming to have a bigger picture discussion. But once you set that strategy, I think we all know strategy changes based on the winds and the winds of the industry around us. I can tell you that at the beginning of the year, we kicked off an automation engine within our business. It was well received. We started building upon it, and then AI just got super smart. And now we're kind of converting how that engine works, and we're making it more modernized to meet something that didn't even exist really for us at the beginning of the year. So there's a lot of change going on, and we need to kind of be aware that our customers are experiencing that change too. It might not be as fast as we're feeling in the technology industry, but they know that things are changing and they're looking at ways to do things better, quicker, faster. And it's also even changing the dynamic of how they're hiring talent and other things. More and more companies are kind of reducing that entry-level position, trying to use AI to replace some of those tasks, and then figuring out how to use the next tier to operate them. And these are all kinds of different things that are happening at your clients that you should be getting a good understanding of, because it's going to open up the door to huge opportunity. So if you stop thinking about strategy just as this quarterly event and make it part of every conversation that you're having with your customer throughout the quarter, you will see that you're going to have better outcomes that accelerate much faster. And there's really 5 core ways to build momentum between reviews. There's monthly touch points. You can have a customer portal where the client can see what's going on in real time. Sending strategic emails, sharing risk updates, and roadmap progress. So those are the 5 big ones that we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to jump right in with monthly touch points. Now, this is a big one, right? But you got to have it as a meaningful touch point. You don't just want to call up and go, "Hey, Joe, how's things going? Everything what? Well, anything I can do for you? No, thanks." Boom. That's a wasted call. It didn't even register on the customer's day. If anything, it's a little bit of pattern interruption as well. You took them out of whatever they were focused on in that moment. But if you schedule a 15-minute check-in with your customer, not a status meeting, just an opportunity to talk about priorities and schedule and make sure that everything is staying on track. A short recurring call where you can say, "Hey, here's where we are on the plan. Has anything changed on your side? Has any key employees left?" Right? Things like that may not have been part of the last meeting. And then, surface on any decision that can't wait for the QBR. There may be new risk being introduced to their environment that your team's coming to you as the VCIO and saying, "Hey, we might need to push some of these initiatives a little bit sooner on the schedule." And this is a great opportunity to have that touch point and really check in. It also be human on those calls. Make sure you're learning a little bit about your customer. Building relationships is not just knowing what they're doing in their business, but it's obviously also knowing what's going on, with them on a personal level. People do not forget that as you move through time. If you have a customer portal, that's another thing you can share with your customer. A touch point can even be, "Hey, when was the last time you logged into the portal? Do you know what's going on in here?" And be transparent with them. "Hey, the portal's really a way for you to kind of stay on top of the big picture of what we're doing for you. You've got the ability to, interact with us, but really, you want to make sure they've got access to the roadmap at any time. Do they need to understand where they are or what something's going to cost? They've got that single pane of glass to look at it. They can see where they are against their strategic plan. They can see where their gaps are and be able to communicate that. Really what it does is, and then from your side, you're going to continue to do your progress, and that's going to show within the portal. And it's really going to give the opportunity for the customer to get some self-service, do a periodic check-in if they desire, and see that things are changing. So the customer portal is another great way to kind of build this engagement between the QBR events and really make sure that, that things are moving forward the way you'd like to. Now, number 3, a little bit old school, admittedly, but strategic emails are something that you can send in that period as well. The key here, though, we're not just talking about newsletters, no garbage information going out, not about any tickets that are open where you're addressing something that the customer is specifically sharing with you. We're talking about really building a deliberate note that might help with something that's happening now or in how it aligns to their business goals. New technology comes out all the time. When you see a new capability, you might want to tell them where that might support one of their new goals and see if that's something that you can enter into the roadmap. As the industry shifts, AI being one of the biggest ones now, it really gives you an opportunity to talk to them about risk and opportunity. Almost every one of your clients is at least thinking about AI if they've not already done some level of project, for AI within their organizations. And there's never been a better time to really have conversations around, hey, where in the workplace do you see mundane work going that you might want to automate? How are you using AI today? Is it simply generative? Hey, here's some ways that you might be able to expand on that. It's a killer conversation to have. And then also helping them understand, hey, that's great that you've done that project and you've implemented it. But now, how's it going to be supported when the language models change? How are things going to be kept up to date? How are you going to ensure that you're getting the right outcomes as you start making changes to that initiative or that AI project that you've implemented? So these strategic emails can be set up that way, to just ask quick, great questions and really help them understand something that can drive their business forward. But that's something you really got to keep in mind. Think of their goals at all times. If you establish, these business goals, business challenges, we like to call them at VCIO Toolbox. They could be key initiatives and obstacles, whatever you're looking at, OKRs. Just make sure that as you're doing these strategic emails, you're referencing them and how anything that you're sharing with your client can impact positively or negatively those goals. And when you do that, that's an email that's going to be received well, as opposed to just a newsletter, or we give a blast of some information about ransomware that's hit some business somewhere and it has no relevance to the person on the receiving end. Number 4 is risk updates. I don't know how many of you are maintaining risk registers. We do know a lot of our clients have started building up risk register methodologies, putting impact and likelihood ratings to those risks, and really building a prioritization of where those risks live for the customer. And this is a great way to stay engaged too as you see risk improve. Hey, we just delivered this project and now look at these 3 risks. We've been able to improve on them. We've reduced likelihood. We've reduced impact. We're starting to make headway into improving the overall risk posture. We want to do it in a way that's about context, not about alarm. We want to show here's the risk, here's what's being done about it, or here's what we think you should be doing about it. And then let the customer, ask, what could be the potential threat to our business. It really, puts you in the catbird seat of being that strategic leader that you need when you're kind of helping guide them through what a risk really means to them. And then keep that running record. So when you do get back to the QBR, you can share that. Here's the risks we improved. Here's the risks that are still outstanding. This is where they tie back to your roadmap. And this is where they tie to the gap analysis. And really kind of help the customer see that 3-legged stool come together and, paint a single picture that can make them, determine a much more informed and confident path for their organization, right? A big part of this process too is trying to eliminate that blind trust factor and really help the customer get more control. And these little steps that we take with them really are what builds trust and helps them start analyzing things in a way that makes sense to them. These are traditional business people. They've never been IT people, for the most part, that in our MSP community. And they only want to understand outcomes, ROI, efficiency, because the speeds and feeds and bits mean nothing to them. Finally, the last approach model is really roadmap progress. When we complete a project, don't wait another 60 days to talk about it with the customer. Send them a project wrap-up note. Let them know exactly what that means. Turn each milestone into a moment and really help them understand, hey, we finished this project. It's reduced this risk for us. We've now improved our overall health and risk scorecard to X. And as a result, you should be feeling these business benefits based on our goals planned together. And if you can lay things out just like that, you're showing wins along the way. Your QBRs are going to be, better attended. But more importantly, they're going to have much more value because it's not this look back to 3 months ago. It's always going to be in the current present day format. And these small visible wins just compound. It becomes a track record for you and your business. A lot of us, especially in the MSP community, we're servants by nature. We didn't get in this to to pat on our chest and really say, we're the man. We came into this to serve people, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing to share in those victories. When we finish those moments, share with the customer that we're excited alongside them and really help them ensure or guide them back to those goals, as I've said a couple times today, to prove that the project was worth doing. And if you do that earlier, any lingering project mishaps can be swept under the rug in most cases as well. Finally, this whole process needs to be strategic both for the client and for you. For the client, they want to feel guided, not billed. They want to have that trusted authority that's going to help them make better decisions, make more confident decisions. They want to be in contact periodically. Again, we don't want to waste their time. We have to always make it a value conversation. But those little touch points are going to allow them to celebrate the wins and bring that up within their organization as well. And obviously for the MSP, the more we can be engaged with our customers, the stickier we're going to be because we're building personal relationships, not just business relationships. And of course, in doing this, we're going to find more revenue as kind of the byproduct. We're not going to be viewed as a commodity. We're going to be truly looked at as leaders, and we're going to be sought to get our advice when the customer is looking for new information. And then ultimately, this is going to make our QBRs a little bit shorter, a little bit sharper, because now we can really focus on the things that are important in that point in time without having to go back 3 months and go, oh yeah, right after the QBR, we fixed this. Or, hey, here's how many tickets we got, just to ensure that they see the work that we're doing. We always want to make sure that these conversations are steeped in business-oriented, goals and conversation. And technology is just helping support where that customer wants to go. So, I just want to close today by saying, make the whole quarter a highlight reel. It's not, the QBR is not supposed to be the whole movie. We're going to have all these little highlights across the end, and then we're going to recap it and draw a conclusion at the end of every quarter. So if you think of it in movie terms, right, we're building that plot throughout the year and each time, or throughout the quarter, and each time we touch the customer, we're getting more and more and more into the story. And then when we get to the QBR, really what we're doing is the conclusion. Here's the wrap up for this period. Here's what we've accomplished. Here's what's going forward. Tell me what's changing, and let's get ready for the sequel. So I hope you all have a great day today. I hope something that I've shared with you today will help you as you move forward with your customer relationships. As always, you can get this podcast anywhere that you get your podcast today. And it's also going to be up on YouTube. So subscribe up there and stay in touch and make sure that you know when all of our podcasts are being released. I want to thank you for joining me today for this Fireside conversation. And I look to see you again next week.